Greetings, nerdlings, and welcome to AmalgamNation Presents World of Lorecraft, Elfcraft, Satyr Edition. The history of the Satyrs starts with Xavius and the first Burning Legion invasion in the world of Azeroth. Xavius was a highborn loyal to the Queen Azshara and the Burning Legion, tasked with opening and securing a portal connecting the Twisting Nether and Azeroth, a portal that Malfurion later managed to seal. Because of his failure, Sargeras punished Xavius, tortured his spirit, and later, as a sign of mercy, resurrected Xavius, but in a twisted version of his body. He was the first satyr to ever walk in the world of Azeroth. Thousands of years later, during the Third War, the satyrs play a small but still important role in the Legion's invasion. They first appeared during the Orc campaign of Reign of Chaos, after Manaroth spills his blood into a fountain and corrupts the surrounding area. The satyrs, attracted by the fountain's corrupted powers, or even former night elves changed into satyrs by the fountain's corruption, tried to defend the fountain from the orcs that tried to consume its energies in order to defeat Cenarius. As a result of this confrontation, this small group of satyrs are slaughtered by the orcs. Later, the satyrs appear during the Night Elf campaign of Reign of Chaos, now as demons under the command of the Burning Legion, under the Dreadlord Tichondrius. They try to stop the Night Elves, led by Tyrande and Malfurion, from awakening the Druids of the Talon, but they are killed by the Night Elven raid. Later, the satyrs face and try to stop Illidan Stormrage, who wants to not only cleanse the land known as Felwood, but also consume the power of the Skull of Gul'dan, the source of fel energy that was corrupting the land. They failed to defend the skull and were murdered by Illidan's army. Ironically, the satyrs will reappear during the Frozen Throne events under Illidan's command. A small group of satyrs join Illidan, who is now twisted into a demonic body, and alongside his Naga ranks. This group, located in Azshara, tries to stop the group led by Maiev Shadowsong from reaching their master near the Night Elf docks. They also manage to capture and torture a few Night Elves. Luckily for the Night Elves, Maiev manages to free them all and kill all satyrs who tried to stop her group. 5 years have passed since the Legion's defeat, yet a great number of satyrs can be found living in the lands of Kalimdor. They live in small groups, each group with its own leader and each group with its own goals. The ultimate goal of all the groups is still the same as that of the first satyr to ever wander Azeroth: corrupt the land and its creatures. Some groups still remain in contact with the Burning Legion, while others act independently, but one thing is certain: they are not fully independent beings at all. When the Legion calls, they will answer. Some satyrs work by themselves, spreading the corruption amongst groups of furbolgs and moonwells, and even giving missions to anyone who accepts them. One satyr in particular is part of a very complex and still promising part of the lore, the Twilight Corrupter. It looks like he was attempting to corrupt a moonwell located near one of the portals that lead to the Emerald Dream. He was the only satyr by the time World of Warcraft events began who lived in the Eastern Kingdoms, making people wonder how he got there. Possibly he used the portal, indicating that he came from the Emerald Dream. This could indicate that the satyrs or the Burning Legion are behind the Emerald Dream's corruption by the Nightmare. Then again, as the Nightmare seems to have been created by the old gods, it could just mean some satyrs have chosen the old gods as their new masters, similar to how some satyrs follow Illidan. Only time will tell the answer. All groups of satyrs of Kalimdor suffered great losses by members of both Alliance and Horde, and most of their leaders were killed, but it's very likely that most of these groups still exist. Some satyrs who likely followed Illidan now serve their new master. That was the first time when satyrs cut the relations with the Burning Legion and served a new master. They are very few and located in Shadowmoon Valley. This group shares territories with other servants of Illidan such as Succubi and Dreadlords, while others live in the Black Temple and help with its defense against the Shatterat offensive against the temple. A small group of satyrs known as the Unbound live in the Crystal Song Forest. This group share a peculiar mutation that turned them into crystal satyrs, What caused this mutation and what the sect of satyrs is doing in Crystal Song is still unknown, but evidence shows that they are corrupting the treants and ancients that wander there. Satyr culture and organisation. Satyrs possess little culture. Their society is loosely hierarchical and they are organised into groups. Each group is called a sect. A sect of satyrs lives in the same geographical region and has a specific mission. Satyrs of different sects get along only some of the time. They live in ruins scattered throughout northern Kalimdor and Desolus. Satyrs prefer places of corruption to make their homes, such as Fellwood and certain areas of Darkshore. Their sects are small, usually no more than 100 individuals. Satyrs are cruel and sadistic creatures. They enjoy tormenting other creatures, particularly intelligent ones. Satyrs patrol their territory, hoping they can find travellers they can eviscerate in the most bloody manner possible. They operate at a faster level than their former selves, while before they may have been stately and calm, they now burn with feverish energy. Their movements are swift and jagged, like predators sensing prey. Satyrs are organised only loosely into a variety of sects. When the alarm sounds, all members of a sect throw themselves into battle. Like all demons, when the Legion calls, they scramble to obey. Few creatures clash with satyrs on their own territory. However, Satyr Camps are well hidden and often located in areas already dangerous, like Fellwood. They are also well protected. Only army divisions or powerful adventurers could hope to rampage through a satyr community. Thus, most encounters with the satyr forces occur elsewhere, often on the roads and paths through the forests. Satyrs have no sense of honour, especially concerning warfare. They do whatever is necessary to destroy their opponents, preferably causing a good deal of pain, both physical and psychological, at the same time. They prefer ambushes and scare tactics, perhaps stalking a group for several days, leaving subtle clues to their presence to make their prey more and more paranoid and fearful. Then they strike. They enjoy incapacitating their enemies with nets and dark magic so they can carve them up at their leisure. They also enjoy the fear and panic they cause when they weaken and capture and bleed instead of outright kill. Few satyrs become warriors or barbarians, so they do not possess the tough frontline soldiers that other forces do. In their strongholds they must rely on corrupted ancient protectors to serve in this capacity, but when they strike out at others they are weak in this area. Many satyrs become rogues, and this disparity is one reason they prefer ambushes and guerrilla tactics. Hopefully satyr rogues can incapacitate enemy warriors soon after combat is joined, thereby leaving them free to strike at vulnerable spellcasters and war machine crews. Satyr rogues who distinguish themselves or show a certain penchant for painful traps and ambushes are called Satyr Tricksters. Satyrs' range support usually comes from magic. A few satyrs become necromancers or warlocks. Some become dark spellcasters called soul stealers or hellcallers. Satyr rogues are fairly common. Some rogues take some training as warlocks in order to add some curses to their repertoire. These individuals are called shadow dancers. Warlocks, necromancers, hellcallers and rogues work well together. The rogues dart in to disembowel their enemies, while spellcasters summon reinforcements, enhance their allies, hamper their enemies, and call up blasts of entropic flame. Most of the satyrs' camps, if not all of them, have no large buildings. Most of them are made of small tents and a few fire pits. Some encampments are built in the ruins of former highborn settlements. In some camps there can be found corrupted moonwells, sacrificial altars, and wooden walls to defend themselves from outsiders. One structure that can be spotted in many satyr camps is the shrine, a strange monument. While its use is unknown, it looks like an important structure for the satyrs, since it's not uncommon to be seen. Real-life myths about satyrs. The satyrs were woodland spirits who occasionally accompanied Dionysus on his exploits. Unlike the Warcraft satyr, who are devious and evil, these satyrs were simply wild. The satyrs could have been representations of the animal that lay barely chained within the male gender. Alternatively, they were a metaphor for no responsibility and freedom. Either way, they were classified as Dionysian or chaotic, and Hesiod simply uses the term satyr to mean male follower of Dionysus, the opposite number of the Maenads. They were typically portrayed in Greek and Roman art with erections. The Romans compared the satyrs to the faunus, a carefree and benevolent woodland sprite. For that reason, satyrs are often portrayed with goatish features. In typical modern fantasy, a faun is a human with the legs and horns of a goat, the Roman satyr, while a satyr has elements of goat anatomy all over. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed, and as always, remember, play to game and game to play.